Welcome back to the Micro Advice Podcast. Today, our spotlight topic is on Practical CSM. This small business is on a mission to help customer success leaders, individual CSMs, and those aspiring to join the profession to better understand the leading practices for delivering CS services to their customers. To learn a little bit more about the community the Practical CS team is building, we're here with founder Rick Adams. Rick, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Oh, hi, Jim. No, thank you very much for inviting me on. Pleased to be here.
Rick, I've heard you speak many times, and I'm always so impressed with your charisma and ability to clearly explain customer success leading practices in a manner where everyone can benefit, whether they're brand new to the profession or very experienced in the field of CS. So let's just start with, why did you set out to build Practical CSM?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the compliment. I've been delivering training throughout my working life. I'm 53 right now, so it's been maybe 30 years of delivering training on and off, or not necessarily always completely full time. So yeah, I appreciate you saying that I'm okay at it, because if I'm not by now, I really do need to give up. So in terms of why am I now focusing on customer success? Well, my background is technical. I started as a systems engineer, but actually my real passion in technology has always been about the business use of technology and the value it delivers to businesses, and B, helping people in general. I love helping people, and that's why I enjoy training so much. My background in technical, plus my experience running my own software as a service company, which I did, plus my years of helping Cisco develop their certification programs, including their customer success program, meant to me that in 2017, I was thinking, well, what should I do as a next step? And I thought now is the right time in the industry of customer success management to try and bring in some proper standards and best practices through a generic framework. So I got myself a book contract, and I sat down and I wrote a framework and wrote the book around that, which was launched in July of 2019. And from that, the next logical step, being that I've always been involved in training then, was to write training courses around that framework. So the book was launched in 2019, and then Practical CSM, which is the training program, that was then launched in 2020.
Okay, that's a fascinating story. I had no idea that you ran your own SaaS company before. And
yeah, 2006 to 2012.
Okay, that's fantastic. So over the course of your career, I would take it you've seen what works well when it comes to customer success and customer experience, and probably not so well, actually. How do you incorporate all of this kind of lessons learned over 30 some years of practice into your business today?
Yeah, well, that's the secret, isn't it? And look, there's lots of ways that you can go about doing things, but generally speaking, there's a better way, right? Or multiple, maybe not a better way, but there are better ways and there are less good ways. And I'm not suggesting in my framework that I've got solved all the customer success issues and I now know the very best way of doing it. And of course, it's progressing. Customer success as an industry is progressing anyway, and what's best right now, we're learning new things all the time. But in the condition that we're in right now in 2021, I have had that background of 6 years of running my own SaaS company, 6 years of working with Cisco, helping them develop best practices for Cisco, and then a couple of years of writing the book and doing the research for that, and then a year or so of running the course. I think I've got a pretty good handle on it as to currently what's best practice. And that's the point of the framework. It makes life so much easier. Why reinvent the wheel? So Isaac Newton is very famously quoted as saying, I got where I got to by standing on the shoulders of giants. If he'd have had to have started from first principles in physics and maths, he would not have come up with his algebra and his calculus and his geometry in maths, and he wouldn't have come up with his gravity and his laws of motion in science, because he wouldn't have had time, because he'd be worrying about, whether there's a sixth element or not, and fire, water, and what are the others. So the fact that people have gone before him and worked on that, and that's really my approach is, why reinvent the wheel as a customer success organization? Best practice is out there for what we know currently, and that's really what we've put into the framework, is the best ideas that are out there currently, that are tried and tested and that we know work.
Yeah, I love the point you made about we're at one moment in time right now when it comes to CS, and there are best practices out there, but it's a moving target. And every day new information comes out that you have to be agile and continuously develop. That's a great point.
No, it is. You're very true. So, and indeed, part of what we offer when we deliver the training for a company is actually there's almost two parts to it. One is the certification program, right, which you get an exam on in the end, and you go through 10 modules, start at module 1, end at module 10. But the other is a continuing professional development platform that's just got lots of extra surrounding information, lots of interviews with experts, and lots of assets created by all sorts of different people that you can also access alongside the formal training course as well, which then gives us that ability to move much more quickly, to jump on new ideas and to release those to our customers, alongside the certification program, which doesn't update quite so often. Obviously, if things need to be updated, they will be. But I agree with you. It's important to keep on top of, especially something like customer success, which is changing all the time.
So, Rick, if you're coaching somebody new to the profession, whether they be younger in their career or more experienced in their career, just new to CS, what are some of the leading practices they can utilize to start off on the right foot?
Well, I would say this is one of those questions, isn't it? So what makes a good customer success manager? And if you ask 10 CS leaders, you'll get 10 different answers.
Probably right.
So yeah, but there will be some common linkages, and the way I look at it is, there are 3 core domains of expertise plus one hidden extra one. And the 3 domains of expertise that are the core ones are, first of all, your customer's industry. So you've got to understand your customer. If you're going to be useful as a consultant going in to say, look, I think you should do this in this way, in this order, in order to maximize your outcomes from what you're trying to achieve, you've got to understand the context of the business. So you've got to, if you're selling accountancy software to accountants, you've got to understand the world of accountants. You've got to understand the language they talk, the types of challenges that they're facing right now, what the latest legislation is, whatever they're keeping them up at night worrying about, you've got to know it, so that then when you're talking to them, they trust you because you're talking their language, and they get that you're on the page that they're on. But B, also, you can be relevant in your suggestions as to what to do and how to do it, that is actually going to be usable and useful for them to get the outputs they need to ultimately achieve their outcomes. So that's domain of expertise. And by the way, when I say expertise, I'm talking about a combination of knowledge, skills, and experience. Right? That combination might vary sometimes, might be more knowledge or more skills or more experience at different times, but it's always going to be, that's the expertise. So that's the first domain. The second domain is your product, your company's product. So that is something, your customer already knows their industry. Okay, so you've got to have enough to be able to talk to them in it, but they don't already know your product. It's new to them. So you've got to be able to help them to understand the features and the abilities and the capabilities, and who as users might be using this product, in what ways, to do what, how much training they might need, how much incentivization they might need, how to communicate to them what's happening, how to deliver that training, how long it will take, etc. So you've got to understand your product from the perspective of, how does it help generate outcomes, and how can you deploy it and get maximum value from it as an organization. So that's the second area or domain of expertise. And the third domain of expertise, once you've got those two, is customer success best practice. And that's very straightforward. It's the same as if you go to a dentist, you expect them to understand dentistry. If you go to a car mechanic, you hope they can strip the engine down, right? I can't strip an engine down. All right. I've no idea. And I certainly, don't let me near your teeth, because I wouldn't have a clue. But that is the expertise that and you choose a car mechanic of a company that is a reputable one, that's got trained, qualified, certified car mechanics, right? Not people who say, well, I'm not certified in it, but I'll have a go. You don't want enthusiastic amateurs near your teeth or near your car or near your accounts. And I would suggest that's exactly the same for customer success. You don't want enthusiastic amateurs near your outcomes. Thank you very much. You want someone who is an expert, who is trained and qualified in the process of getting outcomes from products. So that's the 3 core domains. Then I'm going to add one extra secret sauce, which is your own personality, your qualities as an individual. So for example, are you energetic and enthusiastic? Yeah. Are you a self-starter? Are you self-motivated? Do you get on easily with people and can make friends and build trust relationships with people? Are you able to manage time well? Are you okay with managing stress and a heavy workload and multiple calls from different people on your time? Are you able to negotiate? Are you able to sell? Are you able to train and to explain things and communicate well? Are you a good listener? Can you analyze data? Can you report on data, both written and verbal? And so on. And that list, you can go on forever, as to what that list is. But hopefully I've listed what I think is some of the most important sort of personal aspects. So I call those personal qualities. So 3 domains of expertise plus your personal qualities equals a great customer success manager, in my opinion.
Okay, that is very clear answer around exactly what to focus on in each of those domains, plus the types of desirable personality traits that make a successful CSM.
Yeah, and this is what we try to do at Practical CSM. We've broken it down into here are the things you need, and here are the steps to get them. So that, because if you look at, I look at my father was in the building trade, and I look at, I do like a massive building, like an office or something. At the beginning of that, how many bricks are they going to put together? Like 20 million bricks are going to go into this huge office or whatever. I think, I couldn't even begin to start to think about that. But obviously they don't do it like that. They break it down into units and into phases and into, so now you break it down. It's not 20 million bricks. Oh my goodness, I can't even begin to think how we're going to do that. It's right, do this wall next. Well, that's much more manageable, and that's project management, right? I mean, that's how you break down something that is complicated into simple constituents, and then you place them in an order and you do them one by one.
That makes a ton of sense. And as you're growing in your career, so you assume that you nail some of these different foundational aspects and understanding of the practice. How do you continue to grow? If you were giving some advice of more mature CS leaders.
Yeah, well, I'm very much an advocate of ongoing learning. I'm a lifetime learner. I'm sure you are, and everybody should be, in my opinion. I think just for their own enjoyment, apart from any value, aside from that intrinsic value of learning new stuff, and that's great and fun, and I think it makes you a better person. So and the wider you learn, the better, from a personal point of view. But from a career point of view, obviously slightly different. You're more focused. But again, I think once you're past the fundamentals, so we offer a certified CSM professional, which we call level 4 at the moment. And what we mean by that is we mean like a degree, like a first degree in customer success management. No, it's not a degree. I don't want to we're not academic, we're not able to issue actual degrees, but it's like that level, in the sense that we dictate to you what are in the there's 10 modules, you start at 1, you end at 10, there's an exam at the end, we dictate the syllabus to you, and at the end of it, if you pass that exam, you can genuinely say, I know from A to Z the fundamental basics of customer success to a professional standard. Okay. But then, as you say, what do you do after that when you're 4 or 5 years in and you've got that and you want to progress onwards? Well, I think then it's like what we offer is like a master's where you're more in charge, or even like a doctorate where you're completely in charge, right? It's not a question of you being dictated to by the university as to you will learn this, then this, then this, then there's an exam. The masters, there's a bit of that, and there's a bit of voluntary, and there's a bit of dissertation, and in between. And at the doctorate, it's completely you choose the topic, right? And you instead of going broad, you go deep in one specific direction. And that's the thing is when you get past the broad standard at level 4, to move onwards, you've got to specialize a little bit and say, well, look, my interest lies in the consultative side, or and the business side, or my expertise, I really want to do the renewal side of things and the licensing side of things, or I want to focus on project management and the more technical aspects of ensuring that everything happens right, or I want to get a change management qualification, be able to help the customer to actually manage and motivate people through the process of change, which, as we all know, it's people who make or break an implementation. So there's all sorts of ways you could go forward. And then what you need then is you need to start to focus in on those areas, take responsibility for yourself. So everybody is the CEO of their own career. And decide, right, what specific directions do I want to take, and then start to find the training that is more specific to those needs. So you go deep rather than broad after you've done that sort of basic level.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. So, like undergraduate degree versus master's versus PhD, you just start drilling in to particular different
more
areas.
And more it becomes more deep, less broad, and more under your control, what you're studying, and less under the control of the university. And we do the same thing. We take that same principle.
So Rick, over, I would say, the next couple of years, where do you see the CS field evolving, and how can these leaders, as they start growing and specializing, how can they stay abreast of all these changes going on?
Well, great question. So there's a number of things from that. I mean, I think the first thing is what we are definitely seeing is that customer success was growing massively before COVID-19 in March 2020. It was going almost like 100%. It was like 75% or something growth year on year for a few years. At least according to LinkedIn, and Gainsight, which is just incredible. It's just ridiculous. And then it stalled, but now it is really going great guns again, and it is moving rapidly again. I have my friend, for example, Alan Verkamp at Pi Recruitment. He's under so much pressure to find roles. He's overwhelmed with organizations looking for CSMs. So therefore, the total number of customer success managers is growing, which partially is new teams, but it also is existing teams are growing rapidly. Now, here's the issue. How do you scale your customer success team from your 5 or 6 people who you know really well, and then suddenly you look around and you're a dozen, and then you look around again and there's 30 of you? How can you deliver the same quality of training and coaching to the 30 that you used to do to the 5 or 6? Well, you don't know them as well. They may not now, especially, but in any case, they may not be in the same region or location as you. And you don't have the time now as a manager. You're busy reporting back to the business and doing all the sort of businessy stuff because your role has changed as well as a leader, from a leader of 30 where it was a leader of 5. So you're not in the best position to be doing coaching and training anymore, even if you could, because there's too many people to do it. So this is where I think we are seeing a movement in terms of training and certification to training companies like myself to say, well, look, we need to engage you now, because what we need is one way of doing things. We need a standardized methodology, because we can't have everybody just going off and doing it their own way. And of course, that again is how things have grown, because it's a fairly new industry and everybody's sort of picked it up as they've gone along and done it different ways. And people come from different backgrounds. So half your team is excellent at service management because they used to be service managers, and like there's there's 2/3 of your, or another third of your team came from sales, so they're great at the selling side, but not so good at the another side of it. And then you've got a couple of people who maybe were more consultative, and they know the consultancy side, but they can't sell. Yeah, and so you get, you know, a mixture of like everyone's got some of it, but no one's got all of the basics. And that again is this, you know, this bring everybody up to the right standard, use one framework, one methodology, build your resources, your playbooks and your assets and your tools around that framework. And then everybody can work together as a team. You can onboard people more easily, and you can grow and scale it much more simply.
Okay. I like that a lot about the growth and scale and doing it in that concerted effort. I've seen several different companies struggle with that.
Well,
oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Apologies for interrupting. Just one other point is you can also then use that in your marketing, because as I said earlier, you know, I don't go to a dentist who's not qualified. Obviously, nobody would like, oh, well, go on and have a go. You know, it's not going to happen. And why would a business entrust its outcomes to unqualified CSMs? I wouldn't want to do that. I'd be saying, just like if you were giving security advice, your security professional service consultants are security certified, right, by Cisco, or, you know, whoever the firewall is, or, you know, whatever the software is, or whatever the advice is. You know, they are qualified and certified, and they maintain those qualifications and certifications, and routing and switching and all the other bits of tech. Why is it suddenly different with customer success? Surely it's even more important. It's the business outcomes now. Yes, it's the value of it all on top. Well, right. You want certified, qualified. So it's a great thing to be marketing, in my opinion, to your customers. Say, look, not only do you get our fantastic best of breed, better than anybody else's product, but you also get our certified, qualified CSM to make sure you get the value.
I love it. No, that makes a ton of sense. Rick, so final question for today, and we could talk all day about this. This is great. So where do you see Practical CSM headed over the next, you know, maybe 2 to 5 years? Where do you want to take it?
Oh, we want to continue to. I mean, we're new, as I think I mentioned. I mean, we launched, we launched the book in 2019. We launched the company in 2020. In fact, in March of 2020. Terrible time. And so because of that, we really lost the first 6 months at least of that. So you could really argue we've been going, you know, really about a year, you know, for any value that we've got. So we're still very new. So, you know, I would say at the moment, it's not like we've got ambitions to change. We've got ambitions to, you know, take what we've done and scale it and continue to grow. So we've got, you know, fantastic customers under our belts, all of whom have been so, you know, good at telling us, you know, what they want and what they need, and also the feedback has been fantastic from them, and that they love the product, which is, yeah, obviously exactly what we want to hear. So so we want to continue to refine and improve. We've got a new version coming out very soon of the Academy, which is the actual platform, which has got, yeah, some new features and all the rest of it. But really, it's steady as she goes, with improvements along the way, and scale and grow the business, because we think we're in the right place at the right time now. And as I said, as customer success grows, so surely the need for training and certification grows with it.
Good luck, Rick. This is fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak here today.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for letting me talk about my company. I mean, I really appreciate it. It's been great talking to you. You're a great host. Yeah, you ask wonderful questions, and no, it's been my absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, fantastic. No, that's great. Thank you. And thank you all for listening. If you have any questions or thoughts on a customer experience podcast topic, please drop me a line on LinkedIn. As always, you can find this and many other episodes of the Micro Advice CX podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. Have a great week. Bye-bye.